Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Dafa discussions. I've got Louis here as normal. Hey Louis.
Hey everyone, nice to see you again, Michael.
You too, buddy. Now, one of the greatest issues that surrounds this beautiful practice um, all around the world actually is the horrific genocide, basically, that the Chinese government perpetrated on the practitioners of Falun Gong in China. And for any of you who haven't heard about this, maybe some of you are here just sort of thinking about, I heard the practice is great, which it is, and you just want to know more about it. And we've got plenty of other episodes that you can look at for that. For this particular episode, this issue of how evilly the Chinese government has treated the practitioners of Falun Gong in China and all around the world is a really big issue for one main reason. And this is a really big thing. I don't know, or actually most of you, probably all of you will know that the Chinese government has always been seen as one of probably the world leader in destroying the human rights of most people. If you talk to governments around the world about their investigations into what China does and the espionage that it does around the world, it's really, really bad. And you've probably heard that in China, if you want to be part of a religion or have any spiritual deep faith, you need to first sign a document with the Chinese government saying that your first Buddha, God, or Tao is the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. So in other words, they make you declare that your faith first goes to them, and then secondary is your religious faith. Have you heard that, Louis?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite systemic, how they control people's lives in China, and that kind of understanding helps bring more context to this kind of issue of the persecution of Falun Gong.
That's right. And there's, see, most everyone knows this. Before it was anywhere near Falun Gong, I knew the Chinese government was bad to the core. But of course, I had never lived through a period where something close to my heart was literally having genocide wreaked on it from the Chinese government. I'd never been in that position. Probably neither had Louis. So with this happening, the one thing that I said is a massive, big issue is that the Chinese government, knowing that they were going to try to obliterate Falun Gong because it had become so popular within China so quickly. To give you relevance, between 1992 and 1997, I think it was, or 98, there were a recorded 100 million Chinese people practicing Falun Gong. And we're going to show you a couple of things which are going to make that really relevant. And they're things that you can go to as well and have a look. Now, for an atheist totalitarian regime, I would say to see something like that would have been terrifying for them because it was exactly the opposite of what they both believe and what they strive for. They strive for complete control of the people, just like Louis had mentioned, and to destroy any spiritual beliefs, real beliefs, or practices within their world. So what we're going to do, I'm going to take you to a website. It's actually a web platform that's very much like YouTube. Some of you will have heard of it. And of course, we'll elaborate on a lot of things. Ganjing World is the name of this platform. It's very much like a YouTube platform. And I'm going to take you there. Louis is going to tell you a little bit about this platform because he's done a bit of work with it. And then I'm going to scroll through this page, this particular page, which is amazing. It's all about Falun Gong. And we're going to show you an incredibly, brave journey that a couple of people that I know these guys made back when the Chinese government first sunk its hooks into the people of Falun Gong in China and started to literally tear them apart. They went there, Westerners went there to peacefully protest in Beijing, which seems like suicide. But in actual fact, when things like this happen, like Louis and I have made very clear on other episodes, when something has just enhanced your life, your physical life, your emotional life, your spiritual life so strongly, you know, you tend to stand up for it if you're a decent person. So anyway, Louis is going to tell you a bit about Ganjing World. I'm going to share my screen and show you this place. I'll just pop my glasses on first. All right, Louis, tell them all about it.
Yeah, so Ganjing World, it's a relatively new video platform, multimedia platform. What's different about this platform is it seeks to kind of create a clean environment online. So it's free of kind of harmful content, violence, and other kind of touchy things that you might not want to look at yourself or not want your kids or your loved ones looking at. As we all know, the internet can be a pretty messy place. So it's nice to have a website where you can kind of go to and not stress about things that are going to impact you or anyone you know negatively. And that doesn't mean like censorship of opinions or anything like that. It just means like nothing that's grotesque or, yeah, it's not inappropriate. I find the content on there's quite uplifting, and rather than being addictive, it's quite, I don't spend too long on there because the algorithm on Ganjing World is not the same as, say, YouTube or Instagram, where they highly measure all your movements on the site and tailor the content to you. It's kind of in your hands and you choose what you want to do on there. Pass you back to Michael.
It just, what Louis is saying, like I haven't had a lot of experience on this website, but it's so true. Like, when I was on it, it doesn't feel like they're trying to shove stuff in front of you. And you can say, yeah, but they're only looking for stuff to find you that you already like. Well, I don't know about any of you listening that have children, but my own son got himself in very big trouble with the temptations of looking for overly violent or smutty kind of materials. And then all of a sudden, he was just bombarded with it because a computer or an algorithm doesn't give two hoots about whether something is good or bad for you. It just wants to gorge feed you what it is you're after. And so, when my son gets onto Ganjing World, he might watch a movie or look at some martial arts, and then literally within, he doesn't do a hell of a lot of searching because he's not constantly being fed new things and led along a certain path. So it's quite a natural thing. And look, I'll scroll down here. So this particular page is all about this practice, Falun Dafa. And it's actually made this whole platform. You can imagine, just to give you a brief insight, when the genocide of these 100 million innocent people in China started, and the regime started to incarcerate, torture, beat up, persecute, have their loved ones and friends and relatives persecuted at the same time. When all of this began, you can imagine how many people tried to get out of China. Why wouldn't you get away or try to get away from something like that? So a lot of these beautiful Chinese people who got out of China to America, Australia, France, all around Europe and different parts of Asia. I think, to be honest, after an experience like that, a few of them have really thought things need to change. You know, things need to change in our world where we're not being constantly led to ruin. Our children are constantly, adrenalized or made to have crazy, crazy stuff in front of them all the time that they're gorge fed to watch videos of. Anyway, a few of them started this website and it's really beautiful. So what I'm going to do is scroll down here. You've got things here about how Falun Dafa began, what is Falun Gong. Now, this thing here, Shen Yun, is without a doubt, if you just look at this, these are actually now, these kids have been formally recognized in the arts world as the elite performers in the world in dance. Like this thing here, Shen Yun, we'll talk about another time, but I've seen it multiple times. It is amazing. It is so beautiful. But again, that's for another day. If you come down further, you've got all kinds of things here about the practice. I mean, you look here. This is a video that shows in the States. You can see this lovely lady here practicing. She's basically showing you the chaotic state of the world and what Falun Gong did for her state of mind. Here's more people practicing. You've got movies here that's about the organ harvesting genocide in China, because the Chinese government didn't just go about trying to stop 100 million beautiful Chinese people from believing in this Buddhist school cultivation way, but they went as far to start harvesting the living organs of these poor people while they had them incarcerated in jails. Now, again, this is another conversation and another episode, but there have been movies, lots of movies. Look, this one's called State Organs, all about the organ harvesting. Unsilenced, all about the organ harvesting in China. Now, as we scroll down, have a look at this. Have a close look. These are thousands of people in parks around China when Falun Gong was being taught over those, 7 years before the persecution started. I mean, literally tens of thousands. You can imagine 100 million people starting practicing within 7 years is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Look at this. You can't even see into the distance where it stops, Look at this. This is just massive.
Amazing.
So anyway, look, you guys can explore this website for yourself. Louis is going to put the links on there for you. So all you have to do is press the link in this episode. Look, this is everywhere. This is everywhere around the world. This isn't just in China. You've got Europe. You've got, what's here? France. Look at this gorgeous bloody cathedral in France. Like, we're talking people everywhere around the world who, like Louis and I, have just benefited in the most amazing ways from this practice. Now, what I'll do is I'll and here, what they've done is, because teacher Li Hongzhi was highly awarded in every single way, both in the spiritual realms in China, like in the Qigong institutions, and the scientific institutions. He was actually tested in a normal and state level scientific institution in China to gauge the energy that he had as a Qigong master. and other things. And it was actually from that that the scientific world in China, which is a world leader, actually recognized him not only as a true Qigong master, but truly having the different spiritual powers that these true Qigong masters have. And so they have actually put all of these awards here. And then, like here, you've got all kinds of awards that you can look at and verify. And then you've got people and state representatives and mayors from all around the world who have given all kinds of awards to Teacher Lee. And there's Teacher Lee himself in the middle of a massive amount of people, just talking to them and being with them in China. So I'll keep cruising down here until we get to this video that I was talking about. I'm going to play this video, or the intro of it. It's not very long, but if you're anything like me, all I want to do is keep watching the rest of it. I haven't actually seen the whole video, but I know the two men who did this, and the two men who are in this video. Zenon, I met in America when I was there. And the guy that you can see on the passport, he actually works with Louis and I on the exercise webinars that we do online to help people learn about Falun Gong. And it's all free, of course. We don't get paid to do any of this. This thing we're doing with you right now, we just do because we want to have people understand what Falun Dafa really is and how beautiful the practice is in our lives. Nothing less than beautiful. So let's play this. I'll open up the screen nice and wide, and then we'll come back to you afterwards. All right. And I'm not very techie, so bear with me because I might stuff this up a little. But anyway, let's give it a crack. Here we go.
I landed in Vancouver airport. My friend Zenon was on the plane before me. We met in Vancouver separately because we didn't want to have anyone follow us from Toronto, anyone from the Chinese consulate. He walked by me wearing a shirt with a big Canadian flag on it. And he just kind of pointed at it like, go buy one. Because I didn't have anything, but I didn't want to go to them. Because I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to sit there. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was just too scared.
November 15th, 2001. Two Canadians, Joel and Zenon, ordered their flights to Beijing. For them, this was a journey full of uncertainty.
This is real. This is not a fun story. I'm going into a police state, which is attacking and killing the thing that I defend. And I've just called them murderers to the whole world on me. And they don't like it. We've had a recent report of 15 women tortured to death in the northeastern province. And just a few days ago, we got in the same province, 10 men tortured to death in the same province. And these are all on the same day. So these are our mass killings. These are not just rare incidents. Their entire life is bombarded with persecution, from their workplaces to their schools. They're dehumanized in the eyes of Chinese society. If they go for legal representation, the lawyers are persecuted. There's nowhere else for them to go except into the public to show their innocence. So they go to Tiananmen Square. And as Westerners, we must support them.
Zenon and Joel practiced Falun Gong, a spiritual discipline that originated in China, which was then persecuted by the country's atheist regime. Besides them, over 30 people from 11 other countries left their homes and boarded flights to Beijing. Other than their travel companions, most had no idea who else was on the same fateful journey.
Wow.
All right. Now, not only DeLuey and I know Joel and Zenon, but you saw a picture of a young lady that looked like she'd been beaten badly with scabs or something around her face. Now, I'll tell you, that happened, that particular one happened, or that particular incident happened when I was about 2 years into the practice. And Rong Yin, I remember the girl's name. I hope everyone realizes by now this is very real. This girl, Rong Yin, very much like Joel and Zenon in China, but of course she's a Chinese woman, went to Tiananmen Square in Beijing and protested at a time when the persecution had really ramped up. It was very life and death for everyone. And of course, it continues to be that way. But she went in to Beijing, and what the Chinese practitioners that I know told me is that when they arrested her, she was very, very strong in just constantly saying to them, "You are doing an evil thing to a beautiful practice." And she was very, very verbal. The police, and remember, you'll find this out soon, because in the episodes, we'll bring more of these different videos that have been made into the limelight and talk about it more. But basically, the Chinese government made a Gestapo agency called the 610 Office. These were just awful men and women, or I would say the men and women of their forces, their military and police forces. I believe it was mainly the police forces, and gave them complete license to just desecrate these innocent people's human lives. And so these policemen just held her down with electric batons on her face, and just, it's a wonder she didn't die on the spot, to be honest. All of what you see is electric baton burn from them just smashing her, absolutely smashing her. She died. So, look, today's episode, we're already, 20 minutes into it. Louis, you're only new in the practice. What do you already know about this persecution?
I know in China, the CCP controls almost every aspect of people's lives. And right from when they're educated as young kids, the CCP teaches the children to worship the party. So when you hear about what Michael was talking about, how police officers are carrying out this persecution against like innocent meditators, it doesn't make sense. Like, why would police officers do that to people? But in China, the CCP spent over 100 years destroying like the moral culture of China, and China had like a really beautiful, rich culture, which had Taoism and Confucianism and Buddhism, which all taught like peaceful moral tenets and meditation, and that was a big part of China and Chinese culture. And so when Falun Dafa came out to the public, it's a very ancient practice, but like many practices you hear about, shrouded in mystery and meditating in caves and that kind of thing, many practices are passed down from master to disciple. And so this was one of those practices. So when it came out to the public in 1999, oh, not 1999, 1992, I think the Chinese people felt like a very deep connection with this lost culture of spiritual cultivation and meditation, and so it became very popular. Due to the CCP's efforts to destroy Chinese culture, they saw this as a very big threat, with so many people adopting the practice. And like they had committed similar like human rights atrocities in the past with terrorizing Buddhists or other religious followers. It's like a continuation of that history of the CCP that we're seeing to this day with what's happening with Falun Dafa. And it's hard to hear about all these cases of torture, and it's easy to feel disconnected and kind of in shock, because it's like we were talking about with Ganjing World, we're exposed to so much violence and information these days that it's kind of, I know I've before, and I still working through it, I can be quite numb to a lot of things, but Falun Dafa teaches compassion, and as I come through the practice, it gets more real the more you hear about it. People being tortured, and for instance, in China, everyday people like you or me will, if they're a practitioner of Falun Dafa, they go about their day, but they may be harassed by the police. They may have their home ransacked by the police, their Falun Dafa books and materials destroyed or stolen, even their personal possessions destroyed and stolen. People get sentenced to prison for sharing the truth about the persecution in China. And and there's the torture and the organ harvesting, like Michael was talking about. It's really a horrible thing that's happening over in China. Yeah.
Tell you what, there's one other thing that we'll finish with on this episode is I've actually seen online some people talking about how things like this Ganjing World, which is how much effort has been made, how much effort has been put in to create this beautiful platform and continue to hold it up there for anyone out there who just wants a more pure place for their kids and themselves to entertain themselves, because that's what it is. It's full of movies and trailers and like YouTube, full of great videos, everything, cooking, cars, everything. But just without the stuff that we know damages our kids' minds, damages our minds. We might think we're immune to that sort of stuff, but we're not either. I've seen some people online on different things like Reddit or whatever put up this awful slur, like, what are these Falun Gong people? They're putting that they want to control the world. Now they've got this Ganjing world, blah, 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 blah. And I'm reading and thinking, where are you coming from? Like, that's almost insane. I've got massive corporations making massive websites that quite often or so much are actually damaging our hearts and minds. But when some beautiful Buddhist people who have gone through horrific persecution in China decide that they want to make something good, they're still attacked. Well, I'll tell you for nothing that a lot of the attacking is actually orchestrated from the Chinese government. Now, there's no, what do they call it? Conspiracies or conspiracy theories and stuff like that here. This is just 1 and 1 equals 2. There's no hard grasp on this one.
Mm.
Actually, one of the things that Louis was telling me about is what is a deep fake. Now, you may have heard of it, but to be honest, I've heard of it, but I have no idea what it really does or is or how it affects things. Louis, what is a deep fake? What's that all about?
Yeah, so a deep fake, um, it's a process of using artificial intelligence to take, say, our faces and our voices and manipulate them in a way using artificial intelligence to change what we say in a fairly convincing way. Um, and you saw this used during the US presidential election recently in more humorous ways. But, this can be used for nefarious means by like state actors like the CCP to carry out like disinformation campaigns online. To what Michael just said about these comments on the internet, if you want to learn more about that, it's called the 50 Cent Army. So
What's the
there's
50 Cent Army?
the Chinese Communist Party employ people in China,
Right.
50 cents. I don't know how it works, but like per post or to comment on controversial for the Chinese Communist Party topics, say for Falun Dafa or
So they
human.
get like squillions of people to
Yeah.
bombard different comments or sites or things and just put up misinformation or whatever.
Yeah, so they'll comment things in line with the CCP's like talking points and their kind of agenda that they want to push.
Yeah.
To kind of confuse people, throw people off, and yeah.
I'll tell you something. I'll share something with all of you. Again, this series, Dafa Discussions, it's really meant to just let you know the real things. The real things. My wife's mother started practicing Falun Gong. Her new husband started practicing Falun Gong. When people come into contact with this thing, really, they see how beautiful it is. And a lot of us get just, like Louis and I, we have some undescribably beautiful things happen for our hearts, minds, and our worlds. But my mother-in-law's sister, unfortunately, she took great offense to Christine practicing Falun Gong, this Buddhist cultivation way. So what she did was get online and just put in Falun Gong and just started to scroll through different, videos and information. And of course, because you've got a elitely wealthy regime, we made them elitely wealthy, by the way. I'll tell you all about that one day. You've got an elitely wealthy government, the Chinese Communist regime, with billions upon billions of dollars, trillions even, to put into any kind of, project or what they want to wrap around the world and what they want to do. Okay. They've put so much misinformation and slander out about Falun Gong. It is terrifying, like huge. No matter how much her sister tries to convince her, no matter how much her sister shows her of the real information and tries to let her know that she won't listen. And it is a devastating thing to have done to you because think about it. If you already know how bad the Chinese government is, but you're willing to take in their information on something so beautiful as a spiritual belief, how damaging that is to a person's heart and mind to feel so bitter towards something so beautiful. So these are real things. These are affecting my life. my wife's life here in the West. So this is how huge this thing is. Look, I'll finish it up. Louis, thank you. Everyone, thank you for coming on and listening. Louis is going to put up the links. We'll be back for another episode in a week. We'll keep continuing to show you this beautiful practice one-on-one. We're going to bring more and more people into this for interviews to talk about everything from incredibly miraculous things that have happened for them because of the practice, for their health, their mind's health, their body's health, to the beautiful things that they've become as people, more compassionate, more kind, more patient, more forgiving, better at their work, you name it, on every level. We'll continue to do this every week because this one last little piece of information is the latest things that our fellow Falun Dafa practitioners from China are telling us is that their government, led by whoever it is, he has decided to ramp up the persecution of Falun Gong around the world. Think about it. What they've done in their country is already literally genocidal. Every legitimate human rights council around the world have all formally stated it. But now, because the practice is still flourishing and so popular, he's decided to get into the rest of the world to try to demonize it and bring it down. This is the latest information that Louis and I have found out. And so with this, think about it, with a regime so powerful, putting so much money into demonizing it, why wouldn't they use this deep
fakes? Yeah.
Deep fake, sorry. I'm an old man. I'm not really into this stuff. This deep fake AI stuff. Why wouldn't they use it? They absolutely will. And more. There'll be loads more stuff. So anyway, everyone have a great night. Look at the links. Know that Dafa is amazing. Even if it's not for you, know that this practice has helped millions upon millions around the world to become better people. That's what it's done. Louis, I love you, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, everyone, for listening.
All right, mate. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you soon.
See you later. Bye.